Hello everybody! I know I said before that I'm going to be making a video on how I got my preceptors for my Dietetic Distance Internship. And I know that this is a huge struggle for everybody and it is so terrifying. It definitely was for me. So I want to show you guys that it's really much easier than you think. Not to say it's not stressful, it is, but it is much easier than you think it is. So I'm gonna kind of run down what kind of preceptors you need to have and then how you can find those preceptors. Okay, so first and foremost, for any dietetic internship, there has to be 3 components to it. There has to be a clinical component, so anything clinical, hospital, rehab area, long-term facilities. There's a bunch of different areas where you could do clinical, but it has to be clinical work. There has to be food service. So food service is not restaurants. So restaurants do not count. And I was under the misconception that restaurants count. And if you guys know, or maybe don't know, that I was a general manager at Chipotle, so I was like, heck yeah, I got that checked off. And when I told my internship director, she's like, no. So restaurants don't count, even though it's great experience and you learn a lot about food and whatnot. It's not what they're looking for in a dietetic internship. So for a dietetic internship, there has to be an industrial food service. So anything like hospitals or schools. Third component that you have to meet is community. So community, I think, is the easiest one to get. Or I thought, because there's so many different ways that you can do community, but it's a little off limits. So with the community, it can be anything in the community. So it could be you working at Wix, you working with any like non-profit organization that does things for the community, which if you search, there's like a gazillion. You can do maybe like with the USDA, you can do with a university. You could do so many different things in community that it's kind of, you have a lot of options and opportunities to like get at those preceptors. So for each one of those, you typically just need one preceptor or like maybe one site. But basically, you should have more than one just for your learning purposes, because your internship is when you become kind of the dietitian. So you want to learn as many as different areas as you can. And then also just for fun, I guess. So there's like a 4th component, and I'm not sure if this is in all of them or not, but I believe so, and it is an elective. So the elective, basically, it could be anything that you are interested in. So say you want to do more clinical, but you want to focus on renal. That could be your elective. You really like food service, could be your elective. You want to do private practice, you want to do more things with the community, maybe like with a TV show or something like that. With all these preceptors, they all have to be dietitians, because you're learning to be a dietitian. So you're not going to go and learn from a random person that doesn't know anything about nutrition. So it has to be, you have to be supervised by a dietitian, except in the case of food service. So food service, it doesn't have to be a dietitian, so it's either a dietitian or a certified dietary manager, which is on kind of the same role. And just because food service, you can have a dietary manager and not it being a dietitian. So that is kind of the exception with that. What most people freak out is, oh my God, where the hell do I get my preceptors? That was definitely me too, which I was so hesitant to even apply to a distance internship if I haven't talked to my friend about it. So basically, I got into the internship. I was so freaking happy. And then I was like, okay, now I got the really hard part down, which is getting into an internship. The next obstacle awaits me, which is finding my preceptors. So for a dietetic internship, you have to do 1,200 supervised hours. Some internships require more, like mine. They added an extra 40-hour week. I don't know why. If the requirement is less, but whatever. So you have to see your specific internship, but they all have to have a minimum of 1,200 supervised hours. These hours, the division totally depends on your specific internship. So mine, the concentration is clinical. So I have 720 hours just in clinical. So that's a lot of hours. Like, a lot. So basically, I was like, holy shit, I need to find all these preceptors. Where do I begin? I'm gonna tell you guys like a rundown of my preceptors. I'm not gonna mention their name, but I'm gonna mention where I found them and also what is the rotation. All of these preceptors I found through people or the internet. Let me tell you something. Join every single dietitian group on Facebook that you can, because it will help you so much. So let's begin with my preceptors. My first one was community. So what I did is I went on Eatright.org. So what that website is, you probably know if you've come this long in your dietetic career in college. So it's the academy website, and you have to be a member to be able to kind of log in and play with all these different things. So one of the things that they have is like finding a preceptor. And basically people like kind of register themselves, I guess, as an accepting preceptor. So it'll say like name, where they are located, or like what facility they're working in, and then it has like a description. So for example, it'll say like, I'm specialized in blah blah blah, I work this, blah blah blah, and then it'll say accepting interns or not. So I went down that list and I put like I think the area I put was like 50 miles, which is a lot, but again, I was freaking out. So I was like, I don't care where I get these people, I'm gonna go. Like, I really don't care. So I got the list from Eatright.org and I emailed every single person. I'm not even joking, every single person there is. So when I emailed them, obviously I didn't say, hey, I'm an intern, accept me. No. So you have to like really play with your messaging and read what they're about and say something relating to that. So for my preceptor, she's in university, right? So her thing and her little, I guess, about me or whatever, it was saying that she deals a lot like with eating disorders, and it's a university campus, so that's like the population and that's like the main theme that she sees. So she does consulting, and then she does, you know, health promotions, which is the community aspect of it. So I emailed everyone. I didn't care what their thing was. I didn't care if I liked it or not. I know some people, like when you're seeing internships, you're like, oh, the major is this. No, I don't want that. I didn't care. Just put anything. Like, it's all a learning experience. So if you're gonna be super picky about where you're going, then you're gonna have a really tough time. Just have like a really open mind. For example, I didn't really care for eating disorders, honestly. Like, truthfully, I didn't care. And I remember when I made like the list of, you know, like with the names, because I wrote like this person, I emailed blah blah blah. I put next to that, I put because I didn't really like care to like learn about that. But honestly, I finished my rotation with her and I learned a lot. So you really just have a really open mind, because there's so many different things in dietetics, and it's very confusing for people who don't know about dietetics, like nutrition. What the hell do you work, or what do you do? So that was very interesting. The next place I found my preceptor was Facebook. So this is a tactic that I used. Like I said before, join every single dietitian group that you are interested in. So what I did is the ones that I was in, obviously I didn't join and right away ask, like, don't be weird about it, but I joined and then I was seeing things, and then when I got accepted, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a message out there. So I just put a post in the group. I was like, hi, I'm a new dietetic intern. I'm looking for preceptors, clinical, community, whatever, around in the South Florida area. So I live specifically in one area that's maybe like 45 minutes or 50, like an hour from Miami. So I didn't say that one area. So just notice how I said South Florida. So also keep your mind open that you may have to travel for these places. Multiple people answered, and one of them was a dietitian, and she said, hey, I can precept you for 2 weeks. I work in long-term care, but I'm in Sarasota. And then to me, I was like, whatever. Like, yes. Like, I didn't have, like, just to put the mind to it, I was really like kind of freaking out. Even though I had like 4 months to find these preceptors, but I wanted to do it like now. So I was like, okay, that's totally fine. So I got her information and I sent her like the affiliate form, like all the paperwork that she needs to fill out. And that was that. And then I also got other people like PMing me. So they would tell me about like either them or like a different like preceptor that they had or a dietitian they know that's accepting. But a lot of them were like kind of North Florida. So even though Sarasota is like 3 hours away from me, it's still not the same as like North Florida. So still I kept those contacts just in case. I didn't message them, but I just kept them just in case. But you see, like just from putting posts out there, you get responses. So it's not hard. It's really not hard. Another thing with Facebook, I found 3 people on Facebook. Go in your search engine, put dietitian, and then put people, then put your area, wherever area it is you're in or that you want to do your internship in. So it's kind of creepy. You have to be, you know, willing to go for it. But I went ahead and every time I saw a dietitian that was clinical, which was what I was looking for, I messaged her. So I would be like, hey, I'm an intern with this. You always want to say where you are interning with and why you're reaching out. So always specify distance internship. So I was like, hey, I'm an intern with this. I see you are a dietitian and blah, blah, blah. I'm really interested in that area. I was wondering if there's like a possibility that I can shadow you or, you know, if you could be my preceptor for any time that you're comfortable with. Notice how I said before my clinical rotation is 720 hours. I did not ask anybody for 720 hours just because that is scary. Like, that is a huge commitment. That's like, I don't even know how many months. I think it's like 4 or 5 months. So no one's gonna say yes to you. So that's my opening, like my first email, I would say, however many hours you're comfortable with. I messaged a lot of people, like a lot. I put every single city that's near me, and it's a lot. So whatever, I spent half a day doing this. Like, it's time consuming, and I just wanna put that out there that you're not gonna be like, hey, can you be my preceptor? And they're gonna say yes right away. You have to message people, you really do. A lot of people said no, or maybe didn't answer, but those 2 answered. So, you know, here you go. And one person answered, she said like, oh no, I'm sorry, she doesn't precept, but she gave me a contact for someone who does. So, you know, you just have to really think outside the box. Another person that I found on Eatright.org was my clinical. So this one was a rehab center, which is really great because I'm really interested in the disease states and how I can, you know, help people with their disease. Because as you know, there's like 1,000,001 things you could do as a dietitian. So this one actually, she signed the contract and she put for 40 weeks. And I was like, okay. So basically, that is that's over my whole internship, basically. Like, I don't need any more clinical hours after I found her. But I was still looking because I want to learn, again, as much as I can. So if I can do this one, which is rehab for many disease states, and then I could do like certain concentrations and specialties, I would rather do that. So that's why I kept messaging other people, but you could just stop there because, you know, 40 weeks is more than the 720 hours that I needed. So that was really great. I was grateful. So my food service preceptor, you could do food service in the clinical. So the one I found on Eatright.org, she could do clinical or food service. The only problem is she's an hour away from me. So I was still looking for somewhere that is maybe closer to me that I could do food service at. Like I said, I did my community rotation in a university. As I was doing my rotation, I was thinking, okay, like there is an industrial size food service, you know, the dining hall in universities is something that you can do. I was like, let me see who works here. I found the dietitian She was the same dietitian that did for the chart wheels at my school, which was FIU. I emailed her. I was like, I didn't say like I'm from FIU or anything, but obviously I used my student email so you could see FIU. Let me tell you, a lot of people will say yes, especially if they have the power to, because an intern is so useful. Even though they're taking time out of their day to teach you, they still want you to help them because you're still doing, even though you're not equivalent to a full-time like employee and you shouldn't be, but you're still doing a good chunk of their job as teaching. So they do want you. You don't have to have all of your preceptors when you start, but you know, obviously have the majority to cause less stress to you. And my last preceptor I found through kind of networking. So I interned with these two dietitians from Registered Dietitian Approved, and I did that for the summer. It wasn't like intern for the internship, it was like intern to like learn more for my own sake basically. So from them, I was telling them, like one of the calls, I was like, okay, I'm looking for preceptors, you know, if you guys know anybody, holla my way. They came back to me and they're like, okay, we have this great preceptor, she's just 4 hours away from you. And I was like, oh my God. But this preceptor, she was really cool. She did like many different things. So she did clinical and she has her own private practice. And for my internship, I needed an elective. So I was like, okay, private practice, like hell yeah. So I had a phone call with her. I really liked what she's about and everything. I got her as a preceptor, and right now I'm doing my internship, my rotation with her, as I am filming from my Airbnb in Tampa. Well, technically Clearwater. I really thought like Clearwater and Tampa are like the same. It's not. I didn't know that. The point of this is use the internet. It is a great place. You can find so many different people in so many different ways. And let me just tell you, every single person I've called to ask for preceptors, they all said no. I am not saying to not call people. I'm just saying the internet is an amazing place, and all of my preceptors pretty much I got from the internet. And when people are working and you call them, they don't really have time to talk to you. But if you email them, even if they don't open their message right away, they're gonna open it eventually and they're gonna answer you. Or maybe they're not gonna answer you. But I feel like utilize that basically. To sum this video up, use the internet. You can find so many people there. It is going to take a lot of your time. And third, you will find all your preceptors. For example, my internship, they said like, if you don't find X preceptor for whatever, we have preceptors to give you, but obviously you have to travel more. And the fourth thing is be open to traveling to, you know, if you do have the opportunity, be open to travel and go to another city, or maybe even if it's an hour away, because what you're learning is a great opportunity. Like everything you're learning, you're seeing different sides of nutrition. And that is the whole point of the internship, is to expose you to as many sides of a dietitian's work as possible. So when you finish and you go out there, you could do any of those jobs. So you're not just a clinical dietitian, you're not just a community dietitian, you don't just do recipes, you can do a whole bunch of shit. I know this video is like super long, but I hope you got something out of it. And I hope now you're less afraid and more likely to think outside of the box when you're looking for preceptors. Also, if you are in my area and you applied and got accepted to a distance internship, you are more than welcome to message me about my preceptors, and I can give you all of their contacts so that way you don't have to do the dirty work. But either ways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know, again, super long, but a lot of people ask me for it, and I really think it is helpful. So if you found this helpful, or if you just like listening to my story, please hit a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. And as always, you are more than welcome to follow me on Instagram at HealthWithD and DM me with any questions you have about the internship, about my experience, anything at all. I am more than happy to help you. Bye, see you next time.